folks, and welcome into another edition of This Week in Pearl. I'm your host, Frank Hutton, and I'm excited to bring you this show each and every week, and especially today, because today's show we're going to feature a very special guest that we have usually once a year, but it is Representative Lee Yancey from District 74, which is the Flowood, North Brandon, kind of into the Pelahatchie area. It's that 25 corridor. He's going to join us today, and we're going to talk about all the little projects and stuff that go on in Rankin County, as well as him being the chairman of Business and Commerce Committee, which is a big deal. So don't run off, because when we come back, we'll bring on Representative Lee Yancey. Be right back.
Here in Pearl, we have Trustmark Park. It seats 8,500 people. It's a great venue that we have here locally. You can catch a baseball game. We have a new team, the Mississippi Mud Monsters, so we're so excited about that. In Trustmark Park, the stadium's been fully renovated. And adjacent to that, we have Bass Pro Shop, as well as the Mississippi outlets that people can come shop and enjoy and have a great time. So it's a good place to come. It's a destination spot for our city. We did a $12 million renovation to our Parks and Rec several years ago, and what we were missing was another key area for our children to come and just be able to hang out and have fun, but also have some playground equipment that was really cutting edge. I've always thought if you can get your community together, then you can have a stronger sense of community. And I think that's what Main Street brings to the table for us. And even though we're a post-World War II city and our architectural doesn't signify a downtown, we're trying to have an area that we create that people can come together and have a sense of community.
Hi folks, welcome back into another edition of This Week in Pearl, where now I am joined by our esteemed guest, Representative Lee Yancey, District 74.
Good morning.
And also Gene Newman, Representative Gene Newman. Thank you for coming in.
Old regular.
Old regular here. How are y'all?
Old faithful.
How are you guys today?
Doing great. Great to be here.
Thank you, Lee, for coming in. I know you've been a little under the weather.
Yes.
Appreciate you coming in.
Too much yelling at the State Ole Miss game last night at Trustmark Park in Pearl.
Yeah, I tell you what, fun times. So tell me a little bit. It's been a year since we had you. It's been a year.
It's been a year.
Tell me about Mama and them. How's everything?
Well, we're all doing great. Mama's got a couple of new businesses going, and
Oh, really?
so
she up
she's
to?
busy. She and her mom have a furniture consignment store, and now she's part owner in an art gallery.
Really?
So that's keeping her very busy. Plus, we are grandparents, and we have a 3-year-old granddaughter and almost 2-year-old grandson.
Wow.
And she keeps them a couple of days a week.
Oh, my.
And so it is just fantastic. It's a great season of life.
Yes, it is. Now, where's the art gallery? Where is that?
So this is on Highway 51 in Ridgeland, just north of the Natchez Trace.
Okay.
And
So is it just as you go under? Is it right there
You go
on the
under
right?
and you go to the next light, and it's
Okay.
on the left in that little strip mall there. That's kind of the cut-through road to go to Holmes Community College, Jackson Street, I think is what it is. But the art gallery is called Left Bank Art Gallery,
Okay.
and then Palladian Consign and Design.
Cool.
So if you have a couch you need to sell, or a chair, or a dining room set, we'll help you do it.
Fantastic. So the grandkids are good. Everybody's good.
Everybody's doing great.
Everybody's doing great. Well, again, thank you for coming in.
Well, it's great to be here.
So let's talk a little bit about, you serve on several committees, but you're chairman of Business and Commerce. Is that right?
That's right.
So let's talk a little bit about, y'all had some successes in Business and Commerce.
We had a busy session. We had a number of bills come through the Business and Commerce Committee, and a number of bills that I was able to pocket veto, meaning not bringing them out. And so that's the great power of a chairman, is to be able to kill a bill immediately.
Sure.
But there were bills that needed to come out, and they were from a variety of things. There was the licensing of marriage and family therapist, House Bill 479. We made it where people from other states who are coming here would have to live up to our standards that we have here. Then there was one that dealt with the licensing of CPAs that came from the CPA Association. That was something that they wanted. We merged the surveyor and engineer boards, and that took several years to get accomplished because we wanted all of the parties to be satisfied that it was happening.
So we're talking about civil engineering and surveying,
and putting them all under one board.
Okay.
Okay, and still having their distinct responsibilities, but just having one regulatory board over them.
I got it.
And there was an issue with that bill that affected title attorneys, and we had to exempt them from having to become a surveyor to be a title attorney. And so it was just constantly trying to mold it so that it was acceptable to everyone. And then I had a bill personally that I authored that dealt with sanctuary policies. Like if ICE, the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, had to come to Mississippi for some reason to enforce something within the scope of what they do, my bill says that a city or county or couldn't interfere with them in the lawful performance of their duties. And I didn't want to see what happened in Minnesota happen in Mississippi.
Right.
And we want to support our law enforcement, and we want people to be in our country legally. We're all for legal immigration. We just need to know who's here.
Right.
And if you're not here legally, then that's a problem. And so, just making sure that we had what we needed there. I had a bill for the Secretary of State's office that dealt with a financial fraud study committee. All of our state agencies are dealing with financial fraud, whether it's targeting seniors, elderly, and this created a study committee that has members from all of these different Attorney General's office, the State Auditor's office, Secretary of State's office, on and on we go. But and they have for this year to come up with ways that we can combat financial fraud happening in our state, and to make those suggestions to us next year, probably to give us some good legislation to file next year. So that was a good bill. I worked hand in hand with Senator Harkins on a bill that dealt with unions organizing in our businesses in Mississippi. And we said that if businesses are going to receive incentives from MDA or the state, for locating here, then there had to be rules on how they conducted elections to elect someone to be a representative to the union. We said that they had to do it by secret ballot, so that there could not be any pressure put on anyone to be part of a union or not be part of a union, but it had to be by secret ballot, and that no confidential information could be released to a union about an employee by the business owner without the consent of the employee. And so that was a bill that was, very, very important to lots of groups across the country. Senator Harkins handled that in the Senate, and I handled it in the House.
I want to pause you right there because I want people to think about this for just a minute and just dive a little deeper. This goes directly into why I think businesses are moving to Mississippi.
That's absolutely right.
Because
they're coming here because we let them do business.
We let them do business.
And
right.
They want to be out from under all of the red tape of, what the union requires. And it has, we've had these policies in place for 30, 40, 50 years. I don't know. Mississippi is probably about 5%
but we're an
union.
at-will state.
We're an at-will, right-to-work state.
Right-to-work state.
And it has not hurt us in attracting Nissan or Toyota or any of the big Amazon, anybody that's coming here. And they're coming here because of that, because they have a great environment to work, a good workforce. And we're continuing to try to make Mississippi more attractive for businesses to locate. Absolutely,
and I think that's a big deal because you're putting constraints on what the unions can do, and businesses are seeing, hey, this is a business friendly environment.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. All right, so I just want people to understand. I want people to understand that. Well, that's a big deal. It may not seem like it, but that's a big deal in the long run.
Yeah, a bill that's kind of on the softer side, the soft side of our heart, is a bill that was supported by the Trump administration, dealing with foster care children who were receiving some type of benefit, whether it was Social Security benefits from their deceased parents or it was some other kind of benefit they were receiving. Child Protective Services were keeping that money and using that money, for upkeep of the child rather than saving it for the child for when they're an adult. And so we called this getting rid of the orphan tax.
Got it.
And so we said that there have to be accounts set up, and if these children have any kind of benefit coming in, it's got to be placed into an account that's managed by the state treasurer's office, and that money has to be managed for them in a very conservative way, but and given to them, when they become emancipated or on their own. And so that was a bill that got a lot of attention, and it really felt good to help those kids. And it was we had visitors from the White House, that particular department, and had pictures made and everything. But it was a really good bill.
Right.
Really proud of that one.
Yes.
We finally got the cosmetology board merger done and the barber board. We continue to tweak and tweak and tweak and tweak, and you would not think that was such a big deal, but it has been.
Yes.
And there are lots of different groups involved with cosmetology, and finding the Goldilocks bill that makes everybody just right was very difficult. But I think we finally got there, and that's over with.
Right.
So
that's
anyway,
been years working on that. That's been forever.
If when you think about business and commerce, there's a lot of regulatory bills that come through there. Secretary of State's business bills come through my committee, and so it's a very broad. If you don't like this bill, just wait for the next one. It'll be a completely different subject.
That's almost like Mississippi weather.
Yes. Yeah. And so it's a very exciting committee, and it's been a lot of fun to be the chairman.
But it's also a very powerful committee, because look what you're in charge of.
Well, and it's
that's very important.
It's been a lot of fun, and I've handled bills for the subcontractors and for the home builders, and was fortunate enough to be named Legislator of the Year by both of those groups. Sometimes just for killing bills.
Sure. Right. For doing, and we laugh about that. The legislatures where bills go to die.
Yes.
And that's exactly right.
Well, there are a lot of bad bills.
There's a lot of bad bills.
So it's part of our job to make sure that we
kill
bad bills.
This year there's about 3,600 of them.
That's right. That's right. So about maybe 10% of them got passed.
Right. But I mean, and I think that also people that are watching this, I want them to understand you're the chairman of that committee. It's a very important committee, and you're a Rankin County person. I mean, that's Rankin County that's responsible for this, and that's fantastic, in my opinion, because that helps all of us.
Well, it's a privilege to do it, and I'm very humbled to do it. This is my 11th year. Next year will be 12 in the legislature. 4 years in the Senate, 2008 to 2012, where I served with Senator Kirby, and then Gene and I both got elected in 2019. Have been serving since 2020 in the House. So it is a whole lot of fun. I really like what I do, and hope to keep doing it a little while longer.
Yes, a little while. Right, absolutely. Now, because your district is the Flowood, for people who don't know, 74 is Flowood.
Flowood, part of Brandon, goes to Pelahatchie.
Right.
Tiny little bit of Pearl. So it's
that little sliver
up there.
Right.
But I'm proud to have it.
It's a little sliver.
Yes. And Gene and our districts, touch each other. So we work together on everything.
He's got Crossgate, so that's a lot of people over there.
That's right. Yeah. That's my assistant lives in Crossgate, so you represent her, actually.
Oh, good.
You represent Crystal. But all right, so as a Rankin County delegation, you guys worked really hard this year and were able to secure some money for Rankin County. Now you brought that in on your list. I think one of the one that I like probably the most is the I guess it's the interceptor over the railroad out there in Brandon.
The $10 million ask that we put in, we got it.
Yeah. And
it's a very, very important bridge. You want to talk about it, Gene?
Yeah. Well, what I'm going to talk about is the fact that Lee voted for a bill in order to, so he and Chairman Brent Powell both voted for that school choice bill in order to save that money. If it's hard to say that, but that's just the truth. If he doesn't vote for that bill, then we don't get that $10 million, nor do we get the money that he's going to tell you about in a minute for Highway 25 that's in his district, directly in his district. And that's an awful lot of money that they had to Rankin County that we would not have gotten. I guarantee you, without them voting for that bill.
It's playing politics. really, is what it is.
Well, we're in a political game.
Of course,
I mean,
that's
this
what
is
it
what we
is.
do. We play politics. But
Yeah.
I mean, the simple reality of it is, you know, people don't like to talk about it, but if you do something that they don't like, they will punish you for it. And those of us that went against that bill, we didn't get punished, but we got punished.
Sure, you didn't quite get what
They didn't take us out and hang
Right.
hang
You
us out and
got
start
a little
whipping
what
us,
you
but-
wanted, but
Well,
right.
Yeah.
I'm not for public dollars going to private school. I mean,
Right.
it doesn't make sense. But
Right.
what we had before us was almost like a one big beautiful bill, you
Yeah.
know, that wasn't so beautiful, but it had a lot of things in it that were good. You know, financial literacy classes.
Oh yeah.
There were things
Yeah,
in there.
there were things that got
there were
carved
things
out
that we
that-
needed.
Yeah.
And I knew that this vote was the opening negotiating position of the House to send to the Senate. The Senate had already promised to kill it dead on arrival.
Right.
So no matter how we voted, the bill was going to die. And, you know, I thought, you know, I'm going to stay with the speaker as long as I can. And, you know, this was not going to come back to us. I've mentioned this, I guess, many times in interviews, but in President Trump's The Art of the Deal, you always put more into your first initial proposal than you think you're going to get.
Absolutely.
And you have to have things in there that you're willing to get rid of. And that was certainly something I was going to get rid of, the public to private. But I knew it wasn't coming back, and it didn't. But a lot of things that were good that were in it did come back to us from the Senate. Now, we didn't pass those either because, you know, it's just a feud going on there between the leadership, House and Senate. But many times we're just along for the ride, and we don't have any say in crafting what's in the bill. We just get a chance to vote yes or no.
Right.
And so this was a vote that was taken in early January with a session going all the way to the end of March.
I know, right?
And so we're going to get several more bites at this apple. And as you can see, nothing passed.
Right.
And we got our $10 million for this bridge. And again, we're going to get $80 million, hopefully, from the federal government to help us with the bridge. It'll go over the railroad crossing on Highway 18, like the Cross Gates exit over by Brown Bottling.
Right.
And just having, that's the only way we could 4-lane Highway 18. They won't 4-lane something over a railroad track.
Right.
And it allows for passenger rail from Meridian to Vicksburg with a stop in Pearl or Brandon somewhere. And it opens up that area for more development and just keeps us moving forward with our Rankin County plan to have better transportation corridors for all of our people. And there's another plan to take another road, you know, almost like another 220 that goes from like come through Pillahatchee and at some point veer up and go up to I-55, bypassing all of Jackson. That would open up all of that area for development. And so, you know,
Really?
we're really
You're talking
looking
about coming from that Pillahatchee,
probably from the East Brandon
East
exit
Brandon
somewhere
exit,
there.
Yeah.
And just looking for a way to make it easier to move people across the county.
Of course, right? Because that would just basically split right through the middle of the county, would it
Yes,
not?
it would.
Wow.
Very, very rural area.
Very right, but it would open up a lot of growth.
That's right.
Ooh, I didn't even. That's
So there's a 50-year plan in place, and we're trying to do what we can to make sure that we get what we get in the order that we need to get it.
right,
And we needed our 10 million before we could go to the feds and say,
Yes.
give us the 80 million. Here's the proof that we have skin in the game. Cities and counties are putting money in as well. And so that was our part, and that's what
Right.
we were expecting
and
to do.
that's going to make
It-
that area explode right there.
It was the number one priority of the supervisors from Rankin County, and we were going to make sure we got it done.
And that's a huge. I mean, that's going to make that area literally explode. And there'll be a lot of happy parents dropping their kids off at Brandon
Absolutely.
because that two lane is just miserable. Miserable.
Yes.
And it's because of that railroad. And the railroad's boss.
Yeah, we know that
Railroad
well
is
from Pearson
boss.
Road.
Railroad determines all of it.
That's right.
I know, right? But now let's talk about that. Let's talk about that Lakeland Drive Highway 25 project.
Okay.
What? Tell us about it.
So that project goes from Grants Ferry Road all the way to Highway 471.
Okay.
Right
If you
past
think
all
about
the
the entrance of Castle Woods all the way to 471, it's currently 4-laned, and it's nice. And you would think that that was all you'd ever need, but we have 5 schools and 2 churches, 2 big churches,
Yeah.
along that stretch.
Right.
And we have almost full-time Rankin County deputies directing traffic And you can't get through there in the mornings or the afternoons or on Sundays. And we need more lanes of traffic. And so in the grand CapEx projects that MDOT does, we were number 2 on the list. The widening the interstate above Madison to Gluckstadt, I think, was number 1. And the money that was allocated was not enough to cover number 1. But we think Brad White is somehow magically finding money maybe to complete that project, and then that puts us number 1 on the list to get that done, or maybe there's money for that too. I think it's $71 million is what we need to cover that. And so, we never run out of needs for money.
No.
And, and we try to be prudent and wise in the way that we spend it. And I think investing in infrastructure is one of the best uses of government and tax dollars, because you're giving it back to the people to make their lives better with their roads, with their water and sewer, roads and bridges. It's very, very important.
Yeah, I agree with you. There were some other little projects on your list for Rankin County. Name a few others that you got.
We got $350,000 for the city of Pearl, a lighting project from Highway 80 from Concourse Drive to the east city limits. Another $800,000 for the city of Pearl, paying costs associated with repair, renovations, and upgrades to the City Hall building and related facilities. So this building here may get some of that money. I'm not sure exactly what the plan is, but we wanted to be supportive of it, and it was very well vetted. We got money for several of our fire departments in the county, at least $350,000 that I see. And got some money for the animal shelter. City of Flowood got $750,000. Pelahatchie got $350,000, and then another $500,000 for their wastewater infrastructure.
For Pelahatchie?
For Pelahatchie.
They need it because they're growing like crazy out there.
Absolutely. And then City of Brandon, $750,000 for road infrastructure improvements. And then we were able to get $3 million for the Mississippi Organ Recovery Agency. And someone asked me, why are we giving money to a private business? It was a partnership between MORA, the Organ Recovery Agency that donates human organs, and the Mississippi Blood Services. And inside the Mississippi Blood Services building, they had some empty space they wanted to offer as a testing center for blood and organs that were going to be transplanted. Currently, we have to send organs out of state to be tested, some to Shreveport, some all the way to Dallas, and the lag time on getting those tested was costing us. Some of those organs were not suitable to be transplanted because it took so long. And so this was an $8 million plan to do this testing center, and this $3 million is just kind of the state's, saying we've got skin in the game. We realize this is going to affect anyone in Mississippi needing an organ transplant. All of the hospitals here in the Jackson area, UMC does organ transplants.
Yeah.
And it would be beneficial to them. They're going to raise the rest of the money through private donations and grants, but the state agreed to put in $3 million for that.
So that's a start.
Absolutely.
That's a great start. Why have we not done this before?
There's
that seems almost like a no-brainer, Jim.
But they'll also test the blood and stuff that they'll be able to get into the system a lot quicker.
A lot quicker.
Yeah.
I mean, this is directly to healthcare issues right here.
That's it.
And we're having to send it out to Shreveport?
Yes.
Or Dallas.
Or Dallas? That's crazy.
Some organs can go to Shreveport, some can go to
Dallas.
Dallas.
Well, what's the failure rate of an organ that has to travel that far?
They were losing about 25%. And that's a lot because organs are not readily available.
Yeah.
I'm an organ donor. I would encourage anyone listening to have that little heart put on your driver's license the next time you have it renewed.
But also make sure you talk to your family members and make sure that they understand that that's what you want done.
Yeah.
That you don't, you just because you got it on your driver's license don't mean it'll happen. If you haven't talked to your family members beforehand and told them explicitly that that's what you want done.
Sure. Wow. Good.
So it was a busy session.
It was a busy session. There's a lot going on, and I know your constituents up in Flowood appreciate all of that as well. What's Flowood got earmarked for that $750,000? What are they doing?
So Flowood is working on a lot of road improvements. costs associated with road and infrastructure improvements, and I think it's a lot of water and sewer in that.
Just trying to, the dog people don't realize
Building out that area around Dogwood, behind
right behind
Dogwood, that
Dogwood,
development, and just trying to find ways to use the land practically that provides tax dollars to the city and conveniences for our members.
and leadership over there has done a really good job on working with developers and making sure that has grown, in my opinion, very
Just
properly.
look at the Sheraton. It's just a
Yes.
fantastic hotel, and it's become a very popular conference center. The Refuge Golf Course there, I mean, just a nice amenity. And we want to see those kinds of things in Pearl and Brandon. And
Sure, I mean, just that a rising tide,
yes,
it does bring up all boats, and so, but they've done a really good job over there, and we're right behind, pushing and pushing, doing the same things here in Pearl, to make
Yes.
that a reality.
someone commented to me the other day how Pearl is looking so good, and there's so many nice things in Pearl, and we need to keep that momentum going.
Yes, it's
And
changing.
I think
And the whole county is growing.
absolutely. Jake's done a great job, and Alderman. I mean, it's just fantastic.
Agreed. And the Rankin County delegation, because you're part of that, you talk about Josh Harkins and the others, y'all are all one big group, y'all meet all the time.
We work together very well.
You're right. I think that you're one of the few counties that meets together on a regular basis, are you
Right.
not?
Correct.
And everyone looks at us and asks us, how do we do it? And we're like, well, we like each other. and we're all pulling the cart in the same direction, and no one's doing their own thing. We're
Right.
all trying to accomplish the same thing.
We all understand that a rising tide raises all boats theory. I mean,
You're right.
it's a whole
Right.
lot better to work together.
Yeah.
And yeah, okay, so Brandon got this, Flowway got this. It don't matter. It helps us all.
It does.
Like
And-
the plant down here that Siemens is putting down here in Pearl.
I know, right?
Those people will work all over the place.
And they'll live all through Rankin County. They'll eat through Rankin County. They'll shop through Rankin County. Absolutely, it makes a lot of sense. And it's not necessarily party affiliation either. It's the Rankin County delegation. All are welcome. Isn't that right?
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're Democrat, Republican, or Independent. It doesn't matter. We're all trying to pull in one direction.
That's right.
Absolutely. So I think that's fantastic that you guys were able to do that this year. And I want people to also understand business and commerce is a big deal because that literally drives the economic engine in our city and how you mold that process forward. That's a big deal. The other thing I know, you're on Judd B, right?
Correct.
And you're on Judd
A.
That's right. So that y'all.
So Judd A is
Civil.
civil, and Judd B is criminal.
It's criminal.
He's the criminal.
That's right.
Smooth criminal. Michael Jackson.
That's hilarious. I was going to say, I knew y'all were on judiciary, but you're on B and you're on A.
Yeah.
And there's a couple what other committees?
He's in charge of keeping up with the lawyers.
Oh, my
With the
goodness.
lawyers.
I've got about 9 of them.
Yeah.
I've got so many.
I knew those. I knew you were chairman of that one. I knew you were on Judd A.
Yeah, public health, Medicaid, insurance.
Yeah, right.
Judd A, drug policy,
Right.
ways and means, insurance. Let's say that one.
Which you would think
Yeah.
Representative Newman over here would be on Judd A because of insurance, but okay.
I
Well,
was on insurance, and
Yeah.
I
Well-
need to be on insurance.
well, Judd B, bail bonds.
Yeah, I
that's-
know. It does fit, doesn't it?
It does.
It does fit. All right, so fantastic. Thank you for a good. I thought we had. I've heard mixed reviews on the legislative process this year and what came out. I personally thought it was a good year. Yes, some things got killed because I'm not a fan of school choice, and that kind of went away. But I thought we had a good year. I actually thought with the budget that came out, the things that got funded, I was happy.
We did have a good year. We finished the budget.
Yes.
We didn't have to have a special.
We didn't have
session.
any crazy bills that got passed, and there was some squabbling and infighting, but
That's part of the process.
that's part of the process.
That's politics.
That's politics, and as you said about voting for this because you need to, that's politics. That's how that works out. But let's just kind of dive into a couple of things. You just mentioned it, and we were talking about it with healthcare and organs. But there is a beast that we have been discussing, and you're even on this committee on Medicaid. Medicaid is a beast. And we talked about it a few weeks ago. I know Gene and I were having this discussion about where does it stop? How do we secure our rural health care and give them the dollars they need to help our citizens that are, an hour and a half, 2 hours from here, from getting really nice health care? How do we do that without just blowing up Medicaid? How do we?
It's at some point, the Pharisees and Sadducees that runs the medical business has got to change the way they're doing it.
I know, right?
Because you can't keep running 50s and 60s type hospitals in small towns and expecting different results. You can't keep doing it the same way they've always done it. They've got to change that. And part of that problem is the certificate of need. That's always his issue is doing away with that certificate of need. Until we do that, we're going to keep having these problems.
And I'm a full-time advocate about. Tell me about it. Where are we on this?
So, certificate of need means you have to get a permission from the health department to open any kind of healthcare business.
Right.
And they can limit the number of healthcare businesses based on whether or not they think it's needed. For many years, some of us have advocated that certificates of need are really a protectionist type of thing for existing businesses. And they keep others from getting in those businesses and providing competition. More competition creates more access to care, more quality, and lowers prices.
Correct.
So we are continually trying to work on the certificate of need process. There are places where it might be necessary to have more regulatory environment, maybe nursing homes or something like that. But look at the corridor that we've got coming through Pearl and Flowood, as far as medical.
Right up there by the Sheridan?
The great
right.
nursing school we've got at Hines here on the Pearl campus. We invested $24 million in that a couple of years ago, and the county matched it, and that is a fantastic building, a fantastic program. And I think that it will have generational impact on Rankin County by having nurses training right here and plugging into jobs right here in Rankin County, good paying jobs.
Right.
And so we continue to try to build out that medical corridor and find ways to.
But don't we think that the certificate has got to go away?
It's got to go away.
Don't you think, especially for hospitals and stuff, that's got to go.
Right. And so we're working on that, and there were cracks in the ice this year, and there were some certificate of need allowances made for certain rural healthcare facilities. So if you live in a rural area, if you're a hospital, you wouldn't have to have a certificate of need to do several different specific things, like ambulatory surgical centers or something like that, imaging centers. So we're just trying to make it easier to provide health care and more places to get health care for people in Mississippi.
Yeah, because Medicaid is just going to continue to get out of hand if we don't do something. Something we talked about here a couple weeks ago was something I kind of called like a micro hospital. We were talking about having a facility that had the big amenities of a large hospital, but on a very small scale. It would be a very tiny building, but it would have just a few beds, and you could go get MRIs and CAT scans. And now you can't get a brain surgeon there,
right?
But you could get everything up to that, which is kind of a cool idea, and that would drive cost down. But here we got this certificate of need standing in the way. Is this lobby stuff, or is this big money thrown in here trying to keep it that way? Because really, honestly, to me, you're limiting free market enterprise with a certificate.
Well, the short answer is yes.
Yeah.
But certificates of need started in 1976, I think. It was a federal bill that the country required, the federal government required certificate of need. And then by 1980, they had repealed that because they recognized it didn't work. But a lot of the states hung on to it, and so they created individual state laws. That there's a patchwork of CON laws across the country. And so some of the states have gotten rid of more of CON than others. Some don't have it at all. More freedom is better.
I agree.
And so we're continually working toward that. Medicaid is about $1 billion line item in our budget. It's our second largest line item after K through 12 education,
right?
Which is about $3.5 billion.
And if it keeps going the way it's going to overtake.
It's going to overtake education.
So we pay $1 billion in state money for Medicaid, but we get back about $7 to $8 billion from the federal government for Medicaid, which is larger than our entire budget.
I know.
And so it is a monster. And there was a lot of money that Medicaid needed this year that we weren't expecting, like another $230 million.
$380 million was the ask.
And they asked for more than they needed. They admitted that they had padded their budget a little bit, which made us all kind of chapped. But the governor oversees Medicaid, and he had a much leaner ask for Medicaid, and we went more along with what he had asked for. But you know, it was just required because there were a lot of Medicaid amenities added during COVID,
Right.
that were kind of rolling off, and some of those it was not an easy roll off, and
No.
so we had to kind of gradually roll them off, and that cost us a little extra money. So we had to come up with that this year.
Well, we don't want anybody to do without. Now that
Right.
I don't want.
We want Medicaid to be for the truly
for
needy.
the truly needy.
Yes.
I mean, we're not going to solve this problem today, obviously, but it's just something that we need to continue to talk about because Medicaid's just out of control. And there's a lot of parts to that. I'm not going to dive into PBMs and all that because there's parts to all of this, right, Gene?
Right.
I mean, PBMs are a nightmare. We've discussed it here plenty. So just stay tuned. We'll keep discussing it, and maybe something will come out of that. One other thing I want to touch on is schools. Let's talk a little bit about schools. We mentioned it is the largest line item in our budget.
Yes.
Where are you on like schools and school choice and
Sure.
where are you on that?
So I love public school. I was educated 12 years in public school. My mother was a public school teacher, retired now. Both of my kids went to public school, all 12 years. We have to have the best public schools that we can have. And so, my commitment is to always work for teacher pay raises, always work for as much money as we can get for a public school. I'm not for public money going to private school. And I am going to be communicating with our superintendents and with our principals and anybody who wants to talk about education in Rankin County, but we have to continue to have A-rated schools, and it is part of what makes us who we are. It's part of what makes people want to locate here to work. Not only do you have to have good roads and good bridges, and you've got to have an educated workforce, and you've got to have businesses for people to work in, and you need good schools for the kids to go to school. And so it's all part of a comprehensive plan, and I want to make sure our schools are the best they can be.
Right, and funded.
Yes.
And y'all never fail on funding. As much as the teachers unions and everybody jumps up and down, you never fail on funding. They always get their funding.
The funding has gone up dramatically over the last 15 years as Republicans have been in control. 2022, we voted for the largest teacher pay increase in Mississippi history.
I know.
We just did another teacher pay raise. I wish it had been more.
Yep.
Part of the reason it was not was because of this Medicaid issue that we just talked about.
Yep.
There went $230 million out the door.
I know.
They
could have gone somewhere
and we
else.
haven't talked about PERS yet.
No.
And so, and so there's, we want to make sure that our teachers and our state retirees get their pension, and make sure that pension is solvent, so that generations to come will get their money that they were promised.
Right.
And we're gonna make sure that promise is kept.
And it's all about philosophy and the way you guys work together
Yes.
and the way you believe. And it's no different than Gene or I or Dean. It's no different. Not really. We all kind of think the same way. We may want to get there a little bit differently, but we all kind of think the same way. I would say that's probably pretty accurate. Anyway.
I think you're right on the ball.
There's, between Pearl, Brandon, Flowood, there's really no difference in thinking. Not really. It's Rankin
Wait
County,
a minute now.
and we think a
included
lot.
Brendan in that statement.
Yeah, I did. I've known Butch a long time over there.
Well, he's from Pearl.
Yes. Most everybody that lives over there is from here. So it's okay. It's fine. But I do want to thank you.
Well, there's a reason Pearl's the biggest.
Well, we like to be first.
Yes.
But I do want to thank you for your service, representing your district, but also just representing
It's
Rankin
an honor.
County.
It's an honor to serve.
And thank you very much. I know you're a little under the weather, but thank you for coming in and talking a little bit about what you do and what's been going on and kind of where we're headed, and explaining a few more things. I mean, Gene does a good job, explaining it too, but it's good to hear from some of our other representatives. as to how things are going.
Well, Gene and I are always on the same page, so we're good friends, and he's like a big brother to me.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Lee.
Yes, thanks for
Appreciate
having
you
me.
coming
Are you
in.
saying I'm big or are you saying I'm old?
Yes,
These two.
you're both of those.
These two right here. But what?
So I'm going to throw one more thing at you.
Sure.
So a few minutes ago before we started this show, the United States Supreme Court ruled on the Louisiana case, the Callis case,
Did.
so we will have a special session. The Mississippi Legislature has been called to a special session 21 days from today by the governor. He did that a few days ago.
He did, on Friday last week.
He put it in place, and so 21 days from today, we will be back in special session. So put away your loved ones and all your jewelry and all your valuables, and go ahead and get prepared to put that back up. So the boys will be back.
The boys will be back, and we'll talk about redistricting.
The redistricting, and now we're being called back. A lot of people are talking about a lot of different kinds of redistricting, but we're being called back specifically for the Supreme Court, appellate court districts. That's what we're dealing with. So.
Okay.
The chairman of Judge B is my desk mate, Kevin Horan from Grenada, and he is working hard on this. Is he from Grenada or Winona?
He's from Grenada.
Grenada. He's been working on this, and our hope is that he will be working on this the next 21 days so that
When we get there,
it'll be done. So,
the biggest problem is the Senate's always.
but there's judicial redistricting as well as legislative, right?
No, it's just right now the only call is for judicial. It's just
judicial.
just to the Supreme Court districts.
Okay.
So and appellate court districts. But we'll we'll see what else the governor might add to that. Because he's perfectly capable of doing that. So he can add anything he wants to.
I would like to see him add to our federal legislative district. Absolutely. We need to redraw that. We all know why. And I'll just leave it there. We all know why. We need to redo that.
So,
But anyway, yeah,
But
21 days.
We were also forced to change one house district and a couple of several Senate districts that I think need to be put back like they were personally.
Yeah, go back to the old map on that.
Yeah, the ones that we had originally before we were forced to make those changes
Right.
last year.
And roll that back to the old map.
Yeah, that way when the elections come around next year, that we'd have a chance to bring some people back that we lost.
Right. That would make sense.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that up. So when this airs today, 21 days from today.
21 days from today.
All right. Well, thank you guys.
Thanks
That's
so
what
much.
the governor said.
That's what the governor said.
Yeah.
But thank y'all. Thank y'all for coming in. I appreciate it. Thanks for spending a few minutes with us this year. We look forward to it again.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you.
When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on this week in Pearl. So don't run off. We'll be right back.
Here in Pearl, we have Trustmark Park. It seats 8,500 people. It's a great venue that we have here locally. You can catch a baseball game. We have a new team, the Mississippi Mud Monsters, so we're so excited about that. And Trustmark Park, the stadium's been fully renovated. And adjacent to that, we have Bass Pro Shop, as well as the Mississippi outlets that people can come shop and enjoy and have a great time. So it's a good place to come. It's a destination spot for our city. We did a $12 million renovation to our Parks and Rec several years ago, and what we were missing was another key area for our children to come and just be able to hang out and have fun, but also have some playground equipment that was really cutting edge. I've always thought if you can get your community together, then you can have a stronger sense of community. And I think that's what Main Street brings to the table for us. And even though we're a post-World War II city and our architectural doesn't signify a downtown, we're trying to have an area that we create that people can come together and have a sense of community.
Hi, folks. Welcome back into This Week in Pearl. Again, I'm your host, Frank Hutton, and that was a fantastic conversation. I want to thank very much Lee Yancey for coming in and spending just a little time with us. He was a little under the weather today, but he was able to get through that and shed some light on just kind of where things are with him and what he's working on and some of the things that are going on in his committee with business and commerce. That is a lot that happens there. It really drives the direction of how the economy runs in the state of Mississippi. Very important. very important, really. It is. It's very important. And we are very fortunate to have him as the chairman because he is a individual from Rankin County, and I think that's fantastic. And they all work so great together and help move this county forward. So, again, thank you, Gene, for bringing him in, and thank you, Lee, for being a guest. All right, so what's coming up? Well, we just had a fantastic Pearl Day. If you missed seeing Daughtry and Hinder, it was an amazing show. There were so many people out there. I think the estimates are between 14,000 to 16,000 people. Massive amount of folks that were here for that event at Trustmark Park there in the north parking lot. A fantastic day in the park. There's lots of things going on that we did in the park. It started at 9 a.m. and you could see all the activities that were going on there. There was stuff for kids. There was music playing in the park. There was a vendor fair that was going on in there. Got lots of video that we're showing you from this, but there's lots of things that were going on in our city park. The city park looked wonderful with all the amount of people that were there, and people were talking about what a great time they had. I think also the food vendors said this year that the food vendors were really happy with the way things turned out because everybody was just running out of stuff. It was a great time, and I think people had an excellent time in our park. And then they moved over to Trustmark Park at 5:30 and watched the massive concert. It was a fantastic day for everyone, and we were so glad to put that on this year in Pearl. Now, what's coming up next? Well, let me tell you. High school graduation, if you can believe this, high school graduation is just in a couple of weeks. May 14th, Pearl High School will graduate. They will do that from the Coliseum in Jackson. That is a Thursday night. I believe it starts at 6. We will air it live right here on PMB. So you can, if you don't have a ticket or go, or you just want to watch graduation, or have a grandchild or a child you can't make it, you always can catch it right here on PMB. We'll put it on all of our platforms, everything from YouTube to cityofpearl.com, Facebook. You'll be able to watch it anywhere, including on our Roku channel. Again, I'm Frank Hutton. I've enjoyed bringing This Week in Pearl to you today, and I hope you all have a fantastic week. I will see you next time.